So Tracy Grisey is another member of the board, and she can't be here tonight because she's sequestering, although she said she tested negative either this morning or yesterday morning, but I don't know if you heard me, 9 people in her law office have gotten COVID in the last 6 days. So she asked if she could participate by phone tonight.
Who's wrapping Christmas presents? Is that you, Jim?
Hi, Tracy.
No, I think it was last year.
Thank you for calling me in.
You're welcome. How are you feeling?
I'm okay, so far so good. I'm a little bit nervous about the live that,
Right.
but so far so good.
Okay. So we're gonna get started shortly. So thank you for being available, and you're on speaker.
Yes, thanks for dialing me in. I can
Yeah.
hear perfectly.
Okay. Terrific. Hi, David.
Hey.
All right. Let's get started with the meeting. And the first thing we'll do is get caught up on minutes. Joe was kind enough to scribe, we got to get caught up for 2021, and he did some minutes for August 26, 2021, which were important minutes because that's when we approved the Baldwin 6 solar farm. So I sent those out, and we also have the minutes from the last meeting, which was December 23rd that you took, Joe. So, has everybody read those? Any comments? Motion to,
I can't make the motion.
okay.
Well, I can make a motion on the August one, but not the December one.
Okay. I'll make a motion on the December one. Okay, second?
Second.
That's good, okay, we both approved then. On minutes, David, the last posted minutes on the website are 10/14. And I know you have done minutes for, we approved minutes for 11/11 and 12/9, but I think they have to be sent to Danielle.
Well, there.
Do you want to do it, or you want me to?
I can do it.
Okay, all right, good. I'll send her,
Which one's gonna get the first? Sorry, I was just putting out my computer.
yeah, we just approved August 26th and December 23rd.
Perfect.
And then if you send her 12/9 and 11/11, we will be as caught up as we can be. Yeah, I also have 10/28 that were done, but I don't think she has them.
Well, I'll check on that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Right. The next order of business is AC Communications. So, do you guys want to, so this is Al Clark and his 2 sons?
Yep, Josh and Tyler.
Josh and Tyler, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
why don't you, tell us about your business and what you wanna do, and,
Well, it's a communication company. We've been doing the same thing there for the last 3 years. We do work for telephone companies, for utility contractors, fiber, copper. Do all the placement of the cable, aerial, underground. And then we need a new building. We've grown out of the one we're at.
It's a pretty big building to grow out of. Great, good, those are problems to have.
Yeah.
okay.
You're gonna leave the, building that's there
Yeah.
and just
Build a new one in the back.
attached?
No,
No? No, okay.
Separate.
Yeah.
So you paid your permit fee, and, Wes, you've been over all this with them? 60 by 120 foot garage. How many square feet is that?
well,
7,200.
7,200, okay. 7,200's okay, I think, what I read is that it has to be less than 40,000 square feet or something like that. The limit on that. And how big is the lot, there that you have?
11 acres.
Okay, so you're over the, 2 acre limit, so you're good there.
The town certainly appreciates the fact you guys have kept it nice and clean over there.
There's been a lot of riffraff in there, huh?
Well, a couple decades of scrap, and you
Yeah.
guys bring it back, looks good.
It's,
You was seeing it when we first moved in.
it's taken away at it.
You can imagine you had a few things to throw away.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do is spruce that corner up a little bit with the new building.
Good. Yeah, no, you guys spruced it up by what you did, it looks great. What are you guys gonna do in the building? I mean, I know you park your cars and stuff, or your trucks and stuff, but any sort of manufacturing or fabrication?
It's not at this point. It's all it's really for, is just storage and a small office for us to do our computer
Yeah.
work at.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Keep the trucks inside the winter time, keep the snow out of them.
Yeah. How many trucks do you have?
8.
Are they,
Yeah, 8 or 9, I don't know, getting up there.
are they, just like F-250s, or are they like
Bucket
just
trucks.
bucket trucks?
Yeah, we got a couple of big ones, big placement trucks, pole trucks.
Yeah. You guys place poles and stuff?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Is that why there's suddenly like all these new poles up? You guys?
So, yeah, we just got some work through the local guys, we're actually gonna be working right here in town, cleaning up all the pole lines and getting everything transferred, and they're gonna come through with a new high-speed internet for the town of Baldwin, Hiram, Cornish,
Who's coming through?
Consolidated's doing it.
Finally.
Finally.
They're gonna go down 113?
That's the plan, their area covers the whole town, so.
Don't get excited, Matt, we're not gonna do that.
Well, Matt, you already have fiber, like within like 100 yards now. Like 600 yards of your house, you have fiber optic.
What?
There's fiber optic going to Joe's solar. You didn't know that?
Yeah, but it's not, I don't think it's.
Probably long haul.
yards from
Yeah.
the house.
Not too far away from your, where you live.
This would be for residents to tap into for their own residential.
Yeah, that's commercial.
Yeah.
Is somebody better than what they have now?
I just remember.
Seven point nine.
Just something to look into it.
Yeah.
I know, a quarter of a mile down Deacon Road, and I called Spectrum one time to try and get them to bring a line in and offered, you know, I said, how much would it cost, $5,000, $10,000? They wouldn't even talk to me. You know, they said, it's not worth it, you know, we would have to pay more just for the architect to design the interchange out at the road, so we won't talk to anybody like over 1,000 feet. So,
One person.
what's that?
One person, if there'd been a dozen or so down there.
Yeah.
Probably been different.
You're a quarter mile in, they know you're that far in.
Yeah,
Without ever going all the way to your house.
yeah.
Question for you, is this a pre-manufactured building?
Steel building.
Steel building?
Yep, engineered.
Yep.
This looks like pretty sweet, so. How do you sign up?
No problem, not included.
No.
No, I mean, the building's pretty sweet. Wes, is there any bad downside to this? Anything bad about this project?
No, actually what it is, when Astro left and Astro Brothers or?
Yeah, Astro, yeah.
They took over and there was no talk between us as a new business coming in. It looked, from the outside, it looked like it was about the same thing going on at first, so there was no rewrite of the conditional use permit, so they had to do a little catching up on that. Paperwork to get our paper trail that there's a new business there.
If it's similar to Atbros, and it just has to be, you know, vaguely similar, and it sounds like it to me. They don't need a new CUP, except that they're putting in the bigger building.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why they need to be.
We have to approve the CUP before you can issue them the building permit for the, building.
That would be correct, yes.
And that's critical to us
So
because.
now,
Yeah.
basically, initially, it came to me for the building permit for the building, and I said, well, wait, you know, we gotta do the paperwork, catch up on things.
Yep. So,
We're trying to figure out how soon we can get the building, because as you know, coatings
Material.
are hard to get, so we'd have to, if we order the steel now, hopefully we can try to get the building up by next winter, that's what we're hoping.
well, this should proceed smoothly because, you know, it's a conditional use within the village commercial district, under business and the contractor business definition. You know, you're over the 2 acres, you're under, you know, it says for retail and warehousing, storage and distribution, the maximum commercial floor area shall not exceed 40,000 square feet, so you're okay there. What we're gonna need to do is, schedule a, site walk, come look at the, property. I don't think it matters in this case that there's snow on the ground because we're not concerned with whether there's, wetlands or vernal pools or anything like that.
I would note that the planning board has been there for at least 2 site walks that I've been on.
Yeah.
So far.
It's really just gonna be to look at where the, location of the new building's gonna be.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And, you know, so the process will be that tonight, you know, we'll get the calendar out, we'll, to schedule the site walk, we have to put an ad in the, shopper's guide. And, you know, we've always been using 10 days. It's 7.
It's 7, and the problem, I think when you work it out, is that if we put the ad in,
7 business days, or what?
if we put the ad in for next week, if we're working within the month, it's not the 7 days.
No. So that's why we use 10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so we'll get that in the shopper's guide. And then, we'll also, after we do the site walk, we will have to put another ad in the shopper's guide for a public hearing. And we might be able to kill two birds with one stone there and get the ad in for, the site walk and the public hearing at the same time. And then the public hearing is scheduled on a night when we have a planning board, and that way we can get this going. And then we'll have to send out abutter notices to anybody within 500 yards or 500 feet?
500 feet.
500 feet of the property. And then we'll just have to run through compliance and standards and stuff, look at the traffic and whether there's any impact on that, and access limitations, dust, fumes, vapors and gases, glare, industrial odors, off-street parking standards, that sort of stuff that there should be no problems with. And then the site review, I think you've already given us the design work there. The site plan.
I wonder if you could put a pin in at the far corner of your proposed structure, the one that's got the 250 feet, well, you've got two there that have the 250 foot point. Put a pin in at each one of those points, if you could, approximately, not a surveyor's pin, but, just a little, it's around here somewhere.
If we know when the sidewalk's gonna be, we'll make sure we get it marked for whoever's coming.
Are you gonna put up any signs or any additional lighting or anything like that?
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
Well, if you're gonna do it, you gotta ask for it, so think about it.
What if we ask for it now?
You guys don't get, that's for now, like, you guys, this is a good project, so just think about where you wanna go with it, so you don't have to come back and.
The only thing we thought about was, as you're driving past there, there's a white birch tree that sits right in the middle of the lawn by the house.
Yep.
We just thought about putting our company sign there with kind of our services that we provide.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, we try to keep, what are the signs, we try to keep them to 4x5, is that 20 feet, like 20 square feet, we try to keep it to?
Yeah, that's fine.
We try to avoid lighting them,
Which doesn't have to be lighted.
but there's no ordinance, so if you guys, told us to, and wanted to do it, you could, but we'd like to put it in the we'd like to put it in the permit, and hope people just kind of stick to it, because it keeps the town happy,
Right.
Because there used to be one of those blinking light signs, remember that right there? That's horrible.
Another thing that's not on this, you may or may not be aware of, when they moved 113, they put it right through the library land. And so there is a triangle of library-owned land on your side of the road.
Really?
Yes. And,
Not very big.
not very big. Richard Sanborn surveyed it, and, you put pins in and they're gone. I mean, but I'm just letting you know that it's out there, because you ought to know.
Must be near the right of way that goes to the cemetery.
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah. Is that what this cross is right here?
Yeah.
Cemetery,
The library tried to work out something with, Ed Labby, and he wasn't interested at all. He was kind of militantly uninterested. And,
Well, he didn't believe it, so he kept saying it didn't exist.
So,
But it does, I mean, it does, it's like pretty clear it exists, but.
anyway, it's just one of the, there was some crazy stuff happened when they straightened out 113 in 1952, and, you know, people.
But it's not that big, I mean, I remember it was like 10 feet wide at its maximum at that.
I don't remember.
It was huge.
I don't.
And then, when we meet for the planning board session after the public hearing, one of the things that we'll work on is a list of, conditions, you know, that accompany the CUP. There's, some standard conditions which, you know, the lawyers have put together, and then, the conditions for the CUP, you know, some examples, and this was for the CUP of John Emmons, who had the, used car, lot, right in front of Dodge Oil across from the whistle stop, you know, a limit on the vehicles on the lot at one time, access for the fire department, maintain current garage keepers insurance, obey all local, state, and federal laws, you know, there was a thing about the sign, all exterior lighting must be pointed downward and inward, blah, blah, blah. So we'll work through those. Okay. Well, before we go to the calendar, let's just see if anybody has any other, questions or comments. Wes, I want to start with you. Was there anything, in particular that you wanted to have discussed about the CUP, or anything you want to bring to our attention?
Al and I had a good little chat, and it's just a normal service business. It's not set up to have customers coming to and from his place. It's basically to take care of houses, truck and equipment, and store supplies. That's it. All his work is off in the field. He drives off and works at other locations.
Good. Don, any comments?
I'm just looking at the map in front of us. Looks like there could be some possible wetlands on the property.
Those measurements aren't very accurate from the,
Yeah.
it's just,
Okay.
we just
I
drew
mean,
them
if
in
we
there.
need to keep a setback from the wetlands.
Right.
Take a look at that.
Down over the banks of the brook.
There's a bank there probably, which is.
It's done, it's pretty dry,
Straight
yeah.
line.
Like,
Yeah, I'm just saying from here, it looks like there's a little bit of wetlands showing.
yeah, on the far side of the property.
Yeah, on the far side.
The elevation of.
We would have to keep whatever
Right,
buffers
the
there.
elevation of the existing building is gonna be the exact same elevation of the new one, it's the same plane.
It's flat sand.
Yeah, it's a duck bowl in the summertime.
Right. I'm just saying, looking at the map, it shows where the wetlands here.
And the brook runs down
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, but just, I think what he's saying is, be aware it's there and make sure you know what the setbacks are.
Right. Where you locate the building, maybe, you know, 250, probably be enough.
We can
but
shift that building.
If you have to shift it a little bit, we might have to shift it a little bit. We'll look at that.
Great, good points. Tracy, are you able to pick up most of this?
Yes, actually, I can hear very well, and I agree, we'll just make sure the setbacks are there, but it sounds like, everything is gonna be able to move forward for scheduling the site walk for the project.
Terrific, okay. Joe, anything else?
No?
David?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so today is the 13th.
Getting ready, huh?
Yeah.
The first time we can get this in the shopper's guide is the 19th. Now, if we go from the 19th, do we count the 19th as the first day? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next planning board meeting is 9 days away from that, so I guess we're gonna have to go to the first one in February?
Sounds right, yeah.
Okay. All right, so, we have to, schedule a site walk in between, let's see, the 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could do a site walk as early as the 29th or 30th, but, maybe we should do it, let's target for the site walk the weekend of February 5th and 6th, either Saturday or Sunday, the 5th or the 6th. That puts us in good shape to have the public hearing on the 10th, which is the first, so the announcement for the site walk and the public hearing will go in the Shopper's Guide on the 19th. We'll have a site walk on the 5th or the 6th, and we'll have the public hearing and the discussion at the planning board meeting on the 10th.
So you wanna have it February 6th or 5th?
Okay, I can do either. Does anybody, have any, particulars? We usually do these about 10 o'clock in the morning.
As of now, I can do either as well.
All right, well, I think if we do them on Sunday, we lose Wes, to church, so let's do it on Saturday the 5th. At 10 o'clock a.m. Does that work for you, Wes?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we're doing it on February the 5th.
Yep.
2022.
Public hearing on the 10th.
At what time was it?
10 o'clock a.m.
10 a.m. Do you want to do a weather date, or do you want to just go for it? Let's just go for it.
Let's just go for it.
And so, what are we calling this site walk for the?
AC Communications.
Is it, well, Al, who owns the property, you or the corporation?
I do.
Okay, so the Al Clark Business Contractor Utilities.
I flagged this particular clause in the land use ordinance, which says that the applicant has to provide the coffee and donuts.
Well, you can't get them from the whistle stop anymore.
No, they're closed on weekends.
They are now, aren't they?
I don't know,
I think, maybe.
Putting in a word for the town, I hope you register your trucks in Bolton.
Yeah.
And then, so then we're having we're also having a public hearing.
The public hearing is on the 10th, February 10th.
Generally, we need a copy of the title.
True.
I give the deed, what's the deed?
That's what we need.
I remember you giving the deed, I think probably it's not attached here, yeah.
Was I supposed to bring copies of that too?
No, I have one right here.
Could we have a copy, could you copy it and give it to us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll just need that, amend the package, when we meet on the, tenth. And have the title in there.
Okay.
Want me to make a copy right now?
No.
No.
Alright, so, February fifth, 2022, what day is that? That's a
Saturday.
Saturday? And then, public hearing on February twelfth, 2022.
February 10th.
10th, sorry. So I actually have 10. But plan, it'll be posted. You see Danielle. And we want it, can that get in the shopper's guide twice, or is that just one time it can get in?
Just one.
No, just one, I mean, you can put it in twice, you'll have time to put it in twice if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it twice.
Yeah, 'cause it can go in on the 19th, and then, I'd suggest the 19th and the, 2nd, maybe, February 2nd. You can even do it on February 9th, because the meeting's on the 10th, but just to refresh people, I'd put it in on the 2nd.
Yeah.
Here's an example of the standard conditions.
Yeah.
You guys can just
That's good.
take a look at that.
How the notification will be.
Yeah, that's just a little sticky.
What's that?
Yeah, sticky. Wanna do that? You can't do that?
I'm trying to get some things cleaned up.
Yeah.
Between now and Tuesday.
Let me see, and then ask Danielle if she can help out.
I can take care of that if you want.
Could you?
Yeah,
No, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
I'll do that. I'll come in and Danielle and we'll do it.
Cool. I just sent a shopping guide. I mean, what I do is, I just copy the thing I send to the shopping guide and send it out. Like, I don't see any reason to do anything else.
It's probably a good way to handle it. I never did it that way.
Hi, Tracy.
I'm sorry it dropped my call, but I'm back.
Yeah, good. Okay, thanks. All right, so, we're all set up. We're gonna get it in the shopper's guide this Wednesday. We're gonna have the, site walk at 10 o'clock on Saturday the 5th, and the public hearing, at the planning board meeting on Thursday, February 10th.
Very good.
Okay. Al, Josh, or Tyler, do you guys have any, questions or anything you wanted to discuss, or anything that we haven't covered that you were expecting us to?
Is that our last meeting, the 10th?
I would think so. A lot of times, like with the solar farms and stuff, it can stretch out over several meetings. The only, unknown is whether you have any abutters that show up with any issues that would require, engineering surveys or DOT surveys or more analysis or anything like that, which doesn't sound like it's gonna be, but short of something like that happening, I would imagine that we'll just spend some time here after the public hearing on the 10th, determining what the right conditions are, and we'll be able to approve it, that night. That's my expectation. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
What are you gonna use the house for?
Don't know yet.
Okay, because if you're gonna do something with the business in there, if you're gonna do something different, you may need another permit, it just depends on what you do. Same with the other garage, if you're gonna do some other business and what you're doing, you're getting a permit for business, contract, or utility, so if you decide to, follow your dream of opening a flower shop, then you may have to come back, but just, food for thought, You don't have to do it all at once, sometimes it's easier, but not always, so.
Right. We'll just go with what we got right now.
Yep. I think it's great.
Yeah, we need a new building, ASAP.
Okay.
Oh, leaky roof.
Al, Josh, Tyler, thank you very much. This is
Great.
great.
Thank you.
Great for Baldwin, and very exciting that Consolidated is gonna be putting in fiber optic cable. Is that on the radar of the town, considering all the surveys that the town has done for internet service?
No, we haven't talked to Consolidated yet.
It's the first time we've heard about it.
They're just starting the placement in Portland. They started in Portsmouth, didn't they, Todd?
Yeah, they're in Portland right now.
So they're working their way up.
They're coming from there and working their way out, so.
So they're gonna go up 107,
Wherever Consolidated is what we understand.
Yeah, they're gonna overlay their whole system supposedly.
Good.
So.
Maybe we'll have to.
Okay.
You guys don't have to stay, you can say, so we're not gonna do it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you guys, thank you guys for your time.
See you soon.
Good luck.
The next topic on the agenda is the comprehensive plan. And let me just, I made some extra copies of this was the original proposal from, the problem with math is you can't, lift your finger effectively, and then, so, here's the memorandum of understanding that we need to sign if we wanna get going with this. That's the original thing, there's the memorandum of understanding. Proposal, memorandum of understanding, proposal, okay, so, everybody saw the email that I sent out, where I let, Lee J know that, we, set up the funding, and at our last meeting, we took a vote and, authorized, the planning board to, move ahead with this, so I let Lee J know about that, and, he sent this, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. And let's just take a minute and go through that. Current Baldwin Comprehensive Plan has 10 inventory chapters, as well as the public engagement component and goals and policies and strategies section. The town may consider adding or removing chapters for a future update. Talking about an update of the existing plan, not a full rewrite. Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission will use the language and outline of the current plan As a basis for their update, major changes would include updating baseline data, updated GIS mapping, and updating the goals, policies, and strategies to reflect current issues. The work will be committed over a 2-year period commencing this spring. If additional work is requested over and above the agreed upon work plan, that work will be billed at an hourly rate of $80 an hour. Now, one of the things that is not in there, that was only in the full plan rewrite, would be, you know, them helping us write, town write and administrate a public opinion survey and assistance of public input meetings. So that is in the full plan rewrite, not the update of the existing plan. So, you know, that's just one thing I wanted to point out, that as we update the comprehensive plan, if we want to get any public input or do any questionnaires or anything, that's going to be on us. But you know, it is certainly feasible to get some public input if we needed some simple stuff. So we have to sign this and then send it back to them, and then they'll sign it. And I didn't know what the process was for you know, authorizing or committing to something like this. Do we need somebody from the select board to sign it, or is it okay for me to sign it, or how do we do this?
I would think that this is ours, and the selectmen have put this in the budget, and that's our budget, and that we should sign it.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to me.
For this 6-month budget. So we'll wanna figure out what the next tranche is gonna be, whether it's gonna be, all completed in the next fiscal year, or if it's gonna go over to fiscal year 2024.
Yeah, it looks like it would need to run over 2 years, because we need $10,550 per year for 2 years. We've got 5,000 now, so we're short about 275. I brought that up, and Norm said, don't worry about it, you know, you can cover that at the back end.
I mean, if we're committed to put it in the budget, we gotta get the town people to pay for it, but.
Yeah.
I would also keep in mind as we go through this, that for this to be any good, it has to be approved at a town meeting. And in order to get it approved at a town meeting, it is always good to have people know that they could have been involved if they'd wanted to. And if they want to let them be involved. Because then when it comes up to a vote, nobody's surprised by anybody's opinions.
You mean for the comprehensive plan to be valid, it has to be approved at a town meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming, just assuming for anything to be valid in town, it has to be approved at a town meeting. We can't impose anything on the town.
Right.
You know.
So I'll just kind of, maybe it's too late in the game for this, but is there anybody else that bid on this? I mean, are they the only one?
Well, there's the Market Decisions, or whoever the people were that did the original one. But I don't think they are still in business, and I think we were, you know, we got some good experience here because, they're doing the comprehensive plan for Lovell. You know, and Lovell's paying $30,000 over 3 years. They're doing, and that I think is a full plan. They're doing it for Parsons Field, which, is a $15,000 commitment over 3 years. So SMPD&C seems to have some local, expertise in this area in doing these, but, we did not, consider anybody else but SMPD&C.
Yeah, I think when we were investigating it, we didn't run across anybody else who had the competency, whatever you say the word. Yeah. Good question.
The question I have is, are you also going to work on the ordinance?
Yeah, I think the original idea that we, communicated to Lee J was that, we wanted to address the comprehensive plan and, you know, particularly, update the goals, policies, and strategies to reflect current issues, to determine, you know, what particular changes are most important for the ordinances, so that the update of the ordinances would flow from the work we were doing here. But I don't think an update of the ordinances is included in this particular proposal.
So if you're looking at a timeline, it would be a couple of years hence before you start working on ordinances.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make sense to work on the ordinance and then figure out what people want from ordinance.
But that doesn't preclude us from, say, making some urgent changes to the land use ordinance for, tiny homes, or tiny homes on wheels, or tiny homes with wings,
I'd like to move that the planning board authorize Matt to sign this memorandum of understanding on behalf of the planning board.
You're looking for a second, I'll second that.
all in favor?
Here.
Thank you, Tracy.
I vote again.
You vote against it?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't think we can sign something if we don't have the money already authorized for, but I would like to, I mean, I just think we should investigate whether there's anybody else, but I'm not an SMPDC detractor, but I'm also not necessarily a proponent. So I just think we should, I'm just looking at all the comprehensive plans across the state to see who's been doing it. So,
What we do with the tax assessor's position is to, put it through MMA, they post it on MMA, their website, and that puts it out to the whole state of Maine, and also the shopper's guide too. That kind of gives us feelers that we're looking for somebody. You may not get anybody else, but.
yeah, I just am kind of comfortable with this. It's just, maybe it's just me, but.
I can understand that, Dave.
Because there's this website in the state that has all the comprehensive plans for all the towns. So there's people that do it. Yeah, you gotta go and get one, but next, you know, be may do it by themselves, but it's not gonna pop up now, is it? But, yeah, I mean, somebody prepared that for them, that's not them. Eastern Maine Development Corporation was their consult. Maybe it's regional, maybe that's the same thing, people, these guys, it's different, but but that's just me, I mean, you know, like, I don't mean to throw cold water on it, but, like, if somebody like, if this goes bad, and they say, well, how did you find these people? Well, they were the only ones in front of us, and we didn't put it on the website.
Yeah, speaking from experience, you get a lot of flack about not bidding it out or looking for others.
And I mean, okay, I don't want to stress that. But when I look at the cost of GIS mapping, it's $4,200 on one, and $5,250 on the other one. The GIS mapping should be the same on both proposals, but it's different. And then you look at the goals, policies, strategies, meeting and pulling together plans, 42 on one and 7,000 on the other.
Well, one's an update of the existing plan and the other is a full plan rewrite, and there's a different estimated number of hours that go into it. So for GIS mapping, it's 75 hours under the full plan rewrite, which gives you the 5,250, and it's 60 hours on the update of the existing plan. That's how they get to the 4,200.
No, I understand that, but I mean, I just feel like, especially with GIS mapping, I mean, that's just going to be the same in both. I don't see the difference in having to do it one place versus the other. You're going to create the same GIS mapping for both proposals. I don't understand the difference between the two. But like I said, I'm just throwing stones at this point. My general approach, my general concern is, A, I don't know how we haven't been appropriated that sum of money, and B, I'd like to put it out to bid before we sign something. Those are my two concerns. And C, I'm not a fan or detractor of SMPDC, so I'm curious if there's anybody else out there.
You might have a point for that, you can sign a memorandum of understanding that you want to do this, but you can only commit to the $5,000 that is approved.
Right. Right, because we don't have $21,100 allocated.
Good point. No,
Yeah.
We just, the auditor just smacked her hand on that for the fire truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could sign this and say, you know, we can spend $5,000 and start the process off, but we'd have to wait till the town gives us more money or allocates more money towards this project before we could actually say they can do the entire project. That's just, I mean, that's kind of my understanding, that's the way that sounds.
So, I would then move that we modify my motion to say contingent on the town funding the project as we go along. Seems reasonable.
But we should also say if we approve it for $5,000 expenditure now. And then do what you said, Joe, that contingent upon further financing.
Well, let's take one thing at a time. I think, you know, what's the consensus on, setting this on the warming plate and, seeking out, competitive, proposals?
Yeah, just put it on the website, I mean, just have Danielle post it, I mean, that's where everybody looks, like,
Yeah.
if you're a government contractor, you look there.
Right.
And if nobody comes and talks to us, then We danced with the girl we brought to the, go home with the girl you brought to the dance, and that's it.
So, why don't you, make a, motion, David, that we, you know, see if that's what we wanna do.
Okay, so I'll move that we, put the, topic of, updating or rewriting the comprehensive plan on the municipal website, so we could see if there's any bidders besides SMPDC, before we move forward with that.
Okay, based on what David suggested, I take back my previous seconding and second David's motion.
Okay, all right. And this should work out okay, because they weren't gonna start till the spring anyway. And, what I'll do is I'll tell Lee J that, you know, we have to check with our auditors, and, you know, there's some issues about, signing this, when we don't have the full, you know, 21-1, and that there were also some issues that we, need to, have, looked at more than one supplier. I'll just say that that came up because of, our wrists getting slapped, about, what we did with the fire truck.
Right.
Yeah, and that, once we, check off those boxes and, you know, we'll be ready to start in the spring with somebody.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, all right.
When do you want your answer? When are you gonna want the answer as to whether anybody else is gonna?
ASAP.
Deadline,
Well, I know, but you still
Set
have a
deadline.
date.
yeah, set a date, you know, by this date, apply or one month.
February 15th? 30 days?
Today's the, 10th, oh no, today's the 13th. I would say that we should have it no later than, with the meeting on February 24th, if we can get something the prior week. So, yeah, the week of the 14th. The week of the 14th, which, if it goes out right away, you know, gives them basically 30 days. And then we can be in a position to discuss things on the 24th.
And I'm gonna ask another question. Who has the statement of work?
I thought I just have to do. So, what is it, the town of Baldwin, is interested in bids,
Rewriting and updating our comprehensive plan.
rewriting and updating the town's existing comprehensive plan, including updating each of the 10 inventory chapters. Good. Is that all we need?
Whatever you want, you know, the response you'll get will depend on how much detail you put in request, but just that somebody has a statement of work that you're gonna float, and give to Danielle, and then a date when you want the response by.
So what I read was,
It's really up to you to decide that.
yeah, the town of Baldwin seeks bids for the rewriting and updating of the town's existing comprehensive plan, including updating each of the 10 inventory chapters and the accompanying maps.
And quite often, I just went through this with the fire department studies, they're gonna wanna talk to somebody.
Of course.
So, what a contact.
You have to say like bids will be considered, but like you have to say like the process or anything.
I think what you probably wanna get first is somebody stating that they have an interest in doing it. And you're probably gonna have to go through an iterative process like we did with the fire department, which is kinda hone in as to what you really want done after you have a little bit of discussion with them, and then they can give you a cost estimate.
I think we need to prepare a scope of work.
It's similar to what you did with Lee J and these folks, which is, they came in, they talked a bit, came to an agreement as to kind of what you think you're gonna do. And you want this other proposer to do pretty much the same thing, so it's.
Now, what about, like a disclaimer that says that we reserve the right to reject any bids too?
I don't know if you need a bid right now.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of a.
All right, something, yeah. Is this place called the Baldwin Community Center?
Right.
What's Danielle's last name? Taylor?
Taylor, yeah.
Submitted by when did you say that? February?
15.
Yeah, day after Valentine's Day.
So here's what I have. Tell me if you think this is enough. To Danielle, to post, the town of Baldwin seeks statements of interest for rewriting and updating the town's existing comprehensive plan, including updating each of the 10 inventory chapters and accompanying maps. The Baldwin Planning Board will be handling the statements of interest and the subsequent bidding process. The planning board meets every other Thursday at, it meets the second and fourth, gotta spell fourth correctly, the second and fourth Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Baldwin Community Center. Statements of interest must be submitted to Danielle Taylor by February 15th, 2022. And if nobody responds, then we can call BJ and say, come in. Okay, I'll send this to Danielle.
Sounds good.
Okay. Good. Tracy, any, thoughts or comments?
Sorry, I was on mute, but no, I hear David's concern. I think we're on the right track there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no rush. They weren't gonna start until the spring anyway, so, I mean, I never, commissioned a, market research study without, getting at least, 2 bids, and, you know, corporate purchasing departments have policies where you have to get, you know, at least 2 or more, generally 3, and, generally one of them has to be from a preferred vendor that, you know, provides the discounts to you and stuff, so this is a good idea. Particularly, I wasn't aware of the issues that the town got into with the fire truck, so.
Yeah, we bought it before we, got three of them.
You know, there's an order of magnitude difference between a comprehensive plan update and a fire truck, but the principles are the same.
Right, yeah.
People actually want the fire truck. That's the problem. Bob, I put your name on it too, so, and so you'll get the email too, so Danielle has questions, you could maybe give her some guidance. All right, sorry to sidetrack that, guys. Okay.
That's great. Ready to move on to the next topic? Okay, CEO update. Anything that we need to be
A couple mentionings I'm gonna give, as you know, 2 years ago, we topped out at the end of the year, December, with 15 permits. This last year, we hit 15 at the first week of August, and so building has increased. I think some of it is out-of-staters coming into Maine trying to get out of places like New York, and the Hertel land, which is 2 subdivisions, the Fremont subdivision, San Juan division. Last year we had 3 lots with permits on it, and actually January 3rd I wrote out 3 permits this year. One was in the subdivision of Fremont subdivision, and I had a phone call for a person who had made a commitment on another property on the San Juan subdivision, so that's 4 lots going now. I don't know how this year's gonna turn out, if it's, we're gonna do 15 within the whole year, or it's gonna be a mad rush in May, June, and fill it up, yeah.
Yeah, I think you may want to look at that permit stuff, because I think there's a limitation on how many permits can be issued in a subdivision. Just keep an eye on
15
it.
permits per year, only 4 to subdivisions up to October 1st, and if there's still any openings, then you can get more to subdivisions.
Right.
No more than 4 in any one subdivision.
Yeah, yeah, I'm super happy you have that at the tip of your fingers, because that's, you may run into that this year.
However, there is a sentence in the growth ordinance saying that subdivision lots in the village commercial district are exempt. Now, 2 years ago, we had 2 with Ted Terrio and Tetro, right on Fremont Road.
Yeah.
They weren't counted.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
and
I didn't remember that.
this sometimes baffles me. So it got written in the ordinance that subdivision lots and owners in the village commercial are exempt. What was the motivation that created that, okay?
I wrote that sentence, because we wanted to, encourage growth in the village commercial. So if somebody that's where we want our action, is the village commercial. So if people want to build in the village commercial, it's A-okay with us.
Yep, makes sense, I sort of thought that, okay.
And Giselle's property is all in the village commercial, so.
That's not a lot of land area in the town anyhow, and a lot of it's occupied already, so it's not gonna really explode the population.
Right. I think that was the entire purpose, was to be consistent with our planning. We had to make sure village commercial was, development in village commercial was encouraged.
So on tiny homes, I've voiced my opinion a few times, and we've had a construction workshop and another meeting, I've had little brief discussions, and don't know where it's gonna go. questions that were crafted to send to MMA legal, and.
Yeah, I sent them out
just
to,
Risley, yeah, you got a copy.
I sent them out to everybody,
And the first
so that
question
everybody
was-
knows what's going on.
First question, based on that, our state constitution says Maine is a home rule state, the question is, does home rule allow a municipality to have the authority to adopt LD 1530 into their land ordinance, land use ordinance, only if they choose to? And we don't know, our arm's gonna get twisted, that we have to adapt it, or we don't have to. But I came up, with some information on Google that, up to date, so it's been about 8 months, that only 5 towns in Maine have adopted so far. Wiscasset, New Gloucester, Chelsea, Stonehenge, and Howard. So I'm gonna get an answer to these questions to steer us a little bit better.
Cool.
And just the other night, I did ask the selectmen, how do they feel about tiny homes? Well, we didn't all jump with joy, but we all feel, there's some positive thought about it. It could be good, and probably we should just sort of, let the dust settle a little bit, see where it's going. But I have had one serious inquiry about it now already, that the lot that was just, purchased in the San Pond subdivision, that they have a sister that wants to build there too, to put in a tiny home. And I said, maybe you ought to go with duplex instead, and we don't have an ordinance for tiny homes yet. And they said, well, we wanna make a colonial house, and we don't wanna make it a duplex, we wanna keep the colonial house. So there's a little conflict there, so wait and see.
So what's the underlying issue, that tiny homes may not be counted as an actual dwelling?
No, the legislation was created because somewhere it was thought there's a shortage of housing in Maine and other states too, and one of the reasons is because the affordability, and therefore tiny homes are more affordable to create and make. The major change in the ordinance is that most towns, and we have it, that only one resident per one lot. And so this is gonna have to be amended so that a second resident can be put on the same lot, even if it's only 2 acres. Or perhaps we can change that a little bit.
So do they both have to be tiny homes?
Okay, it has to be a tiny home.
No, both of them, or just one?
No, one primary home, and the additional second house is be a tiny home, which is 400 square feet or less footprint.
So they have to have its own septic?
You have to have what?
Its own septic and everything?
Yes.
There's some variations there. The primary ordinances deal with tiny homes on wheels. It's an elaborate RV. You can live in it for 6 months or less per year and not need a permit, not need a certificate of occupancy, things like that. If you live in it more than 6 months per year, then you have to be attached to a septic system and whatnot, then it becomes a fixed tiny home. Or you can stick build a fixed tiny home on a slab or piers or whatnot. And that needs building permits, it needs the whole wall and everything.
Question for you, on these tiny homes, do they have to meet the International Residential Codes?
Say that a little louder?
Yeah, do they have to meet the IRC, the International Residential Code, which is a requirement for any residential structure?
I don't have the actual law numbers here, but about a year and a half ago, the Secretary of State got involved that,
Yes, but that's
they
not what
were
I'm
going
asking.
to allow tiny homes
I don't
met
see
certain building
It's
specifications.
required by the state that
uh,
any resident,
gas heat,
Design
and,
it according to
electric
international
stoves,
residential
things like that, so it's more rigid than RVs, it's quite rigid.
yeah, I'm still trying to get a handle on international residential codes required for other new homes. It's in state law, I looked it up today, which is the IRC, it's 2015.
I don't think I'm aware of that.
When you give a building permit, what codes do you cite?
the American National Standards Institute?
That's one, but then there's also in the state legislature, they've adopted what they call the International Residential Code. It's the 2015.
Yeah, I've been following that, BOCA has been dropped.
This is the new BOCA. This replaces BOCA.
Yeah.
Okay?
So, and the book's about 1,800 pages, of which about 2/3, 3/4 deals with commercial stuff, so.
Well, there's two codes. There's the International Building Code and the International Residential Code. Both have been adopted by the state of Maine. I'm an architect, so this is very close to my.
Yes.
Is this another override of home rule? Because I do remember several years ago, I don't know how many now, Ken, adopting BOCA code. And that would give me the impression that whenever we change, we have to do it in town meeting. Unless, of course,
This is the state code.
like tiny homes, the state says you gotta do it.
That looks like what I read today.
The state says you gotta do it.
International Residential Code applies to any residence that's being constructed.
Yeah. Well, I think what Llewellyn said.
I don't know how that plays with the tiny home thing.
So the email that Matt sent on to us today, Llewellyn has been the lawyer at Maine Municipal for quite a while, and he says that this law about tiny homes is a little bit confusing. But some of it has to be straightened out, and you may have just nailed something that has to be straightened out.
Pardon the building fund.
What's that?
Pardon the building fund. You nailed it.
Oh, I got it.
I just wanted to hammer it home, I'm sorry.
No, but when you give.
I'm here all week, guys.
You tell them what code they have to comply with?
Not really. I looked at the plan fit and, in the permit, there are places still up, what size joist used for a certain span and items like that, headers. When I go inspect, I check spans, I check loads, I check where posts are, carries the loads.
My question is, against what code?
I'll have to say, how shall I put it? I judge it on my experience. And my experience has been following codes for years. You know, I started building in 1962. And codes have changed a little bit, but,
I'm just asking a question at this point because.
And here again, we don't have an electrical code. We're under 2000, we've never adapted electrical code.
Where? Statewide?
We don't follow what's called UBEC, Uniform Building, Energy Code. And we have.
Locally, we don't do it, or the state doesn't do it?
Pardon?
Locally, we don't follow those codes, or the state doesn't require us to
We don't follow it. Local.
follow? Okay.
It's local.
Locally, you
I
don't
want to
follow.
point out that if you read, the previous guidance that we got for MMA, it wasn't MMA free.
Stuff that you're talking about.
That was guidance from
And it probably should.
state building.
I know.
You
That was
know,
my reaction when I read it today, that it didn't.
Here's an example. It was years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I was pressed for a situation when I was CEO from Cornish, and about slabs. So I looked in the International Building Code and looked. I finally found a little paragraph, and it said, it's up to the ruling authority to determine what size slab to use depending on what the soil condition is. That was it for slabs.
But then it goes on beyond that, it says minimum of 2,000 pounds per square feet. I mean, it's.
Not that paragraph.
But if you read the
Somewhere else,
IRC,
yeah.
the IRC is much more detailed
Okay.
than the IBC,
Yeah.
both for homes. The IBC is a little bit more general. But the residential code is very specific. And I don't see how these tiny homes ever comply.
IBC's a type of root beer, isn't it?
International Building Code. Yeah, I guess it is. But anyhow, I'm just asking the question. I don't see how these tiny homes have ever complied with the International Residential Code.
Seems like this was pushed through
I
pretty
have a
fast and
feeling
pretty
the majority
slick.
are gonna come in on wheels, and they become a fixed unit, and then fall under the inspected and having a certificate of occupancy. If they, and being fixed is defined as having a CMP line attached to them, or they're attached to a septic system.
Right, how deep their footings have to be,
So,
what's.
other than that, if they're on wheels, and they want to live in it for 6 months, it's like an RV trailer, come and go as you please.
I just had a question. I was reading through it today and I'm going, I've done this for 50 years.
Yeah.
So, maybe other places in other states, but
Good dialogue.
it's something very strictly followed. My question. I don't care if they would apply.
Well, now, one of the sentences in the law for tiny homes saying that, an ordinance cannot be changed, or if an ordinance is changed for tiny homes, it has to be, within the same or less restrictive, so it does not, permit, disallow the use of the home. And the example they gave, you can't, demand a certain type of siding or a certain type of roofing that's just about impossible to achieve for a tiny home, so that they can't have it. So it has to be less restrictive if you change it.
Less restrictive.
That's crazy.
That seems crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
I would,
What do you think?
The only thing that we've identified so far where we're out of line is that our land use ordinance, specifies 600 square feet, and, we've been told that that's, no longer valid, and it has to be changed to the 400 square feet, but I'm loath to jump in and start changing the land use ordinance now, because I feel like this is a moving target.
it is.
That's correct. In fact, yesterday when we had a staff meeting here, Dwight was on the phone, and after we talked a little bit about this, he said, this year's legislation is coming with a lot more, bills that's dealing with this, because of the first one, the previous one was rather vague, and they're getting complaints from towns.
Yeah. So we just have to use our, common sense, and the great thing is, it's just like all of our CUPs and the subdivision ordinances and the solar farms, and that is that, the conditions that we can apply to any, approval, which gives us an ability to, control to a certain extent.
Matt, if I was to do any fooling around with this ordinance, I would put a limit on the square footage of outbuildings permitted on a house lot that had a tiny home on it, so that there wasn't a runaround. I'll put up a 400-foot house as a tiny home, and another 10,000 feet worth of sheds. You know.
And this is part of the control of tiny homes. It's pretty hard to live in 400 square feet, other than if it's just a couple, you can do it. And
Hard work.
because the 400 square feet is considered living space, and space, decks and sheds and garages aren't counted, so that can be added on to the tiny home, and it's not counted. And if you have a 400 square foot tiny home and a big deck, somewhere between May and October, you can do a lot of living out on the deck. You know, so
And
that
then you
relieves
can
a little bit.
Put a roof over the deck and walls
Yeah,
around it.
three-season home, three-season room.
Yeah. So I think that, I mean, that's how I would go
Yeah.
about control,
Yeah.
you know,
A lot of
making
them
it.
do. I've been going on the internet looking, there's some clever designs out there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow.
Wes, anything else, any other, CUPs or projects or anything
I
going
have a
on?
personal story and something to tell you. I have a new set of hearing aids now. As you know, I had some for 10 years, and they usually last 5 or 7 years, but I didn't use them very much, I usually come to meetings, so the last 2 months or so, I've been shopping around for hearing aids. The first set I had cost $6,000. So I went shopping out, and got them down to $2,900 and $2,300, and I went on to the net. I have what are called amplifiers, it's like loudspeakers, $99.
Wow.
$99.
Can you hear us now?
It's time to go like that before. All I can do is pick up the sound. These expensive ones, most hearing aids are made by almost the same firm.
Yeah, but the warranty information on those $99 ones says that you have to keep your ear hair trimmed to 1/8 of an inch.
Keep no earwax.
But once the basic is made, then the company will say, well, I want this program in it, and I want to be able to do that, and this, and sort out, so that's part of it makes it more expensive, plus the services make it,
That really is a very interesting, technological advancement story, and the way the cost of technology is decreasing. Generally, you don't see that with laptops and phones.
Oh, yes, that's it.
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Second, all in favor?